So, what kind of movie monster could you have a fight with? Bambi?
The movie monster? Me, but slightly bigger.
Oh shit! And you reckon you could take him?
Yeah, I reckon I could take any version of me, probably.
Any size. That's a terrifying
of any size.
paradox.
Yeah,
that feels like a thought experiment from Gödel, Eschel, and Bach.
Of course, yeah, because the other one, the giant me / the microscopic me, also thinks that they can take me. Because we're all going to have some sort of insecurity around our size and other things.
But varying. So which one will prevail? Which one can prevail?
Only Brandon Sanderson can answer that as the only fantasy writer capable of finishing a series.
The only man in the village who cuts hair does not cut his own hair.
He shaves it.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Semantics.
Oh no, everyone shaves it. Get it shaved anywhere you like. That pie and mash shop.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Take that, Gödel, Escher, and Bach. You're all pricks.
Idiots. Sick of experts.
Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that gets 100 times stronger when struck by lightning. I'm Paul Pharmaceuticals.
I am a crane.
We are anticipating the release of what is sure to be a franchise highlight, Godzilla X Kong, the new Frozen Empire, or whatever the fuck.
How can we improve it? Stick an X in it.
Even better, I think. More monkeys.
It worked for Indiana Jones 4.
And then it's gonna work again. It's evergreen. Thanks, George Lucas, for being in this meeting. Okay.
Have him killed.
Oh my god. Yes, we're going to go back to the very first time that these giant monsters were pitted against each other. It's Toho's 1962 kaiju film. Yes, I'm an insider. King Kong versus Godzilla.
The great Godzilla, blazing a trail of terror to his Japanese homeland. Godzilla! Roaring defiance to the only enemy on Earth strong enough to challenge him. The unconquerable King Kong, giant gorilla god of this South Seas paradise, where sensuous maidens offer themselves in ritual sacrifice to his brute embrace. King Kong versus Godzilla, heading for their colossal collision, shattering every obstacle that stands between them in the most fantastic rampage of annihilation ever recorded on film. See King Kong stamp Tokyo into the ground, holding a beautiful girl in his grasp. See Godzilla destroy an entire army. See King Kong trapped by the blazing barrier of 1 billion volts. But nobody can stop the great showdown when King Kong and Godzilla meet to fight for survival of the fittest.
Some of this info is from Big Action Bill, who makes massive hour-long videos on the history of each Godzilla movie. He's done like an hour video on like each movie in the whole thing. So do check out his channel if you'd like to learn more. But I've got a few bits and pieces of my own here too, so let's pull.
For a little taster.
Just give you a little taste. This whole thing is a publicity piece for Big Action Bill. So, how much context to give? Monster movies! Movies featuring monsters. Oldest cinema, really. You got a man named Willis O'Brien, or Brian, perhaps. You see, I'm not as well researched as Big Action Bill. He'd have fucking knocked that out the park.
Said it like he meant it anyway.
Yeah, Willis O'Brien, let's go. Making movies about stop-motion dinosaurs since 1915. And his most famous work was The Lost World in 1925. Not affiliated with Jeff Goldblum.
Are you sure?
I looked, and I thought for a minute, is that Pete Postlethwaite? No, it's a claymation velociraptor. And I was made the fool.
We've all made that mistake.
That's the same picture. But in 1933, O'Brien. I kept calling him Willis because Willis feels like a surname. It feels very overly familiar now. So
it does, but that's a past old-timey thing, isn't it?
It is. Everyone was called Jackson Smith. Goodman Paul feels like it could have been an avant-garde early cinema person.
Goodson, maybe, as well. Goodson would be the name. Yeah, exactly. Good sonliness is next to godsonliness.
Oh,
What about
God!
good bonliness?
What a time to try and learn etiquette. And ironically, it was the time when it mattered most. But yes, in 1933, Willy Pooh made the special effects for another big monster movie. The movie that put these giant monsters on the big old bloody map is King Kong.
Ooh.
Yeah. And King Kong's success around the world not only proved the appetite for this kind of movie, but also set the template. And this was reinforced in 1952 when Kong had a hugely successful re-release in Japan, and then the following year, the release of The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And that was enough to convince the fine folk at Toho Studios that it was time for Japan's own giant monster. And so we get Ishiro Honda's Godzilla.
Now, but I have a question, mate. And I don't know this, and I feel like this is something that I should. But was Kong before it was a movie? Was it anything?
No.
Obviously, I'm not saying was it based on a true story, but was it was it a novel or like a serial in a magazine?
No, it was conceived by American filmmaker Marion C. Cooper. Again, for that movie.
There you go. Fantastic. Cinema truly is the best.
It truly is the greatest thing we've ever had. So yes, you get him in 33, Godzilla in 54. Year after that, you get a sequel called Godzilla Raids Again, which introduces the idea of having the big monsters fight each other. The best idea ever had.
But so often poorly executed in my lifetime.
In King Kong, you do see King Kong fight like dinosaurs and such, but they're not giant. They're bigger. They're big, sure.
They're just standard.
They're big.
Standard garden variety dinosaurs.
They can climb up the Empire State Building. Godzilla can't do that shit. That'd be like me trying to climb up this desk.
You've never been able to. And you frequently try and end the episodes with it, but...
Think of the feat! Think of the sheer spectacle of it if I made it.
But you keep it in every episode, and I think that's why people keep coming back, because they know one day
oh, fuck it. It's been a while since they were funny, but I'm really curious if he's going to get to the top of that desk one day without it smashing to pieces beneath him.
I think the whole desk thing has been planned from the start. I think they know whether they're going to or not. Fuck you, man! No, and then they just stab each other.
I think we're well past the point where he had a decent chance of getting on that desk, because not only is his general health in freefall, but also the desk has fallen apart several times and been hastily reassembled for the next recording. It surely lacks the structural integrity to facilitate this man, this exhausted man, getting on top of it.
And it's been repaired with twigs and old cats and all kinds of things. Some joins are just ideas. I argue that it's not even the same desk now as it was when the whole thing first started. So we can't ever claim to have climbed the original desk. Yeah,
Paul's desk is now a whole new concept, which is distinct from the ship of Theseus in as much as it's rubbish.
Shit house.
Yeah.
And that's one Paul, and the other one just keeps wanking the whole time. So.
Oh, God, these couple of fucking jokers. Tell you what, though.
Yeah.
After Godzilla Raids Again, it all kicks off. In Japan, you get Rodan. You get Varan the Unbelievable. It's a big snake.
Okay, I appreciate you clarifying, because I don't actually know. I know Mothra.
You get Mothra. It's a big moth.
Yeah.
In Korea, there's Bulgasari. Reptilicus in the United States. And even here in the UK, we get Gorgo. He fucks up Big Ben.
Big badger.
The big fucking badger. He rustles some bins and causes some nuisance, but people get very passionate about him online.
He causes some tremors in 1982 in Dudley. And we all felt them.
We all felt them, and Mum still talks about them. Weatherman didn't see it coming. But the movie that really set the mold for the Showa era of kaiju movies was the third movie. This one. This is only the third Godzilla. And it actually starts with the guy who started it all, Willis O'Brien, Brian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was still about in 1960 and was shopping around the idea of King Kong fighting a Frankenstein, titled King Kong vs. Prometheus. A very cool name and idea.
That's a very cool name and idea. Watch this space. Yeah. Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott, come make this movie.
Why?
We'll finally save that fucking abandoned franchise. But stop motion animation was expensive and is expensive, so no one was interested. But you know what wasn't and isn't expensive? Guys in rubber suits kicking fuck out of cardboard.
and continues to not be expensive.
So Toho showed an interest. Although not directly with O'Brien, they bought the rights for his script from the producer he was working with and changed Frankenstein to Godzilla without consulting O'Brien. Yes.
Those sneaky filmmakers.
Those sneaky Toho bastards. He tried to sue, but didn't have the money and died shortly after. That's a really sour note to end on there.
Two things that really get in the way of a lawsuit.
And O'Brien's wife claimed that it was the frustration of this deal that caused his death. Oh, it got worse. Got a lot worse there.
Shit.
Ooh. Anyway, this whole thing was done to celebrate 30 years of Toho, the bastards. A celebration that also included Kurosawa's Sanjuro.
Ooh. Look, enough was stolen from Kurosawa in the future, so I think it all balances out. It doesn't matter about the individuals that it affected. What matters is it's 1-1.
It's just the fucking studio system in Japan. Kurosawa left, went to Russia, made Derzu Uzala. It was all good. Came back, made Dreams. Great. That's just how it works. Sometimes you just got to go to Russia, and that's what O'Brien didn't understand.
That's what a lot of people don't understand.
Many people don't realise that they're going to end up in Russia eventually. So
directing Guardians.
They got Honda back from the first one, the man who directed 8 of the Showa Godzilla films and a bunch of other non-G-Man related kaiju and sci-fi films of the era. He's a very interesting man. Now, trouble.
Uh-oh.
The studio wanted the monster antics to be light-hearted to appeal to a younger audience. And one person who got with success. One person who got right on board with that was special effects legend and series regular E.G. Tsuburaya, who was working on an adaptation of the fairy tale Princess Kaguya, but made himself available for this because he loved King Kong so much.
Oh, don't we all? The hairy
Kaguya
bastard.
got unmade for 70 years or so. They probably made one before that.
Yeah. Then Ghibli made it and it cried a lot, so 1-1 Japan.
Damn it! And that was when Takahato sent to Russia, so it all works out. Director Honda was not a fan of the light-hearted approach, believing that the monsters should be scary. But I guess as director, he was helpless to the special effects guy.
He was very muscly.
Oh God, no! E.G.
Tom
Tsuburaya, Japan's strongest man. Did most of the special effects by just kicking buildings and filming the results.
Invading the set of Thunderbirds and stamping that to pieces.
This is the first Godzilla and King Kong movie to be widescreen, shot in Toho scope, and in colour. Eastman colour specifically, so it's going to look as good as Iga.
I thought you were going to say Eastman style, which is effectively the same thing.
Eastman style. Shoot first, get permits later. The quality does dip a little in places, you may have noticed. This is because Honda edited the film for a 1970 festival of kaiju films for kids and cut 24 minutes of Godzilla swearing and smoking and such.
Yeah. Holding forth on traditional conservative views.
He was like, okay, this isn't going to play for kids. The problem is he was cutting the original camera negative, so that footage was lost for a very long time.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. Shame. Speaking of lost for a very long time, the octopus attack used 4 octopuses, and afterwards, 3 of them got released, and 1 of them got eaten by Tsuburaya, strongest man.
Yeah, well, that's why. But he, honors his victims.
Yeah, the same thing happened to the Spice Girls after the Spice World movie. Most of them got released.
Min-Sik Choi ate one of them.
What was he doing there? Folks? Time will never tell. They held a weigh-in press event between Godzilla and King Kong, presumably inspiring Freddy vs. Jason, several decades later. Interestingly, King Kong was seen as the bigger draw for Japanese audiences, which is why he gets top billing in the title and ultimately wins the fight, spoilers, although that is a point of contention amongst fans.
Uh-oh. Of course
What's your opinion, folks?
Did
King Kong win just because he's the only one seen at the end? And Godzilla's body is in several shots? You find it. You tell us.
Because I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't watch the movie. So, as with many Godzilla films, we're near the end now. An American version was made using new footage and a different edit to crowbar in a subplot involving UN reporters documenting the events of the film at the expense of the TV plot, which got edited out. Now I can relate to it.
Thank God, yeah. That's
God.
interesting. It's an interesting choice.
I know. It's a strange thing to do, and it was edited by Peter Zinner, who edited The Deer Hunter and co-edited The Godfather 1 and 2.
Right.
And also put the weird American shit into Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Yeah, okay.
King Kong vs. Godzilla, damn it, I'm showing my bias. Put the G-Man first.
Look.
Love that G-dang G-Man.
We can all agree that we've heard an awful lot of anti-Japanese sentiment from you, Paul, in this episode, and I just want to be clear that was a joke, because you don't know.
You never know.
Never know. You know who's going to listen to that one bit and be like, "Wow, okay, I can finally bring him down." But,
all of my enemies will be watching. All of your enemies will be watching. That's a indie movie name. We'll keep hold of that, or a band name.
Or a band name. It's a long band name, but it's a band name.
That's all very in now.
It's all very
Blur,
in now with the kids.
Etc.
Blur Oasis. That's three syllables.
Look, it's getting worse.
Gone are the days of just Oasis.
Yeah. That's
what happened to Oasis
in the 60s. Anyway, we shall be reviewing the Japanese language version, which can be found online at the Internet Archive, or as a special feature on the Criterion Godzilla Showa collection, which you should all own.
Woohoo! I couldn't get the one on the archive to load, so I found I found the original Japanese version elsewhere.
Yay!
But I think the subtitles were slightly different, so. But I'm sure that all the original cleavage shots have been maintained.
Good.
And restored with loving horniness.
Well, now that my lengthy production notes are over, let's quickly do our usual segments. Critics, however, didn't care about science. Do more research. John Cutts of Films and Filming, at the time wrote, sublime stuff, richly comic, briskly paced, oddly touching, and thoroughly irresistible. Oddly touching. Absolutely.
Which is not admissible in court, but we do it anyway. Of ourselves.
Look, when Godzilla threw the tree at King Kong and King Kong threw a rock back at Godzilla, I knew what it really meant because I've lived that.
You live that every day in Britain.
Yeah.
And whether that was known at the time in Japan, they've managed to capture that experience incredibly well.
Yeah.
And when Godzilla does that thing where he slaps his tummy with both hands before fighting, I've lived that outside Greg's every day.
It's an ever-present reality, and I embrace it for one. Public felt that the noodles were no good today, but you're worse. Jordan Bissett on Google said, 5 stars because this movie made me look back on my life and think how bad it was. I'm 48 now and just seen the new Godzilla vs. Kong. This one is much better and cured my depression. It helped with my math grades and my typing. Godzilla.
Godzilla.
That's a lyric they cut out. I'm 48 now and just seen Godzilla.
Wow, helped his maths.
Oh no, it helped me with my maths. Go Godzilla.
Wish I knew more about maths to make other things work. There goes algebra.
There goes Pythagoras. Go Godzilla. Anyway, King Kong and Godzilla versus Godzilla has mixed reviews to this day, but made a very large profit on its relatively cheap production budget. So, Paul, you baka. What's one thing about King Kong versus Godzilla that made you want to fight about it?
Well, you know what? I think I've got to start this episode, Paul. 1958, 59, 20 minutes in.
Oh, there.
By saying, I think Final Fantasy VII has a lot
to answer for.
A lot to answer for. That's only coming out now. I haven't got the time, the energy, or even the facts to properly go into it right now.
Fair.
Suffice to say, they owe a lot to Godzilla, the franchise.
Absolutely.
Not least for just wholesale lifting. Call it an homage. It probably is an homage. It's an homage. It's an homage. But seriously, an homage. There's a lot that reminded me of Final Fantasy VII. Not least the leitmotif in this movie which to say the Sephiroth theme, the final battle theme, is near identical to it in parts, is an accurate statement.
Very, very strong words to suggest that Akira Ifukube has been robbed.
Yeah, but I've worked myself into a corner now where I can't not sound like I'm accusing Final Fantasy VII, one of my favourite games, of this. But it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. Paul, I enjoyed it very much.
Well, so you should.
Yeah.
Let's go through what happens in this delightful film.
All
right. Aliens already? Oh no, this is just a TV show.
Oh, okay. The dead speak.
Okay. It's a TV show, but Groucho Marx isn't happy about it.
Yeah, I read. I thought the Marx Brothers.
He's a classic comedic archetype.
新聞、ラジオ、テレビ、週刊誌、みんなゴジラ。それじゃまるでセントラル製薬ブームじゃないか。
Yeah, and that's why, that's pretty much why I love this film. And it's a science show sponsored by a pharmaceutical company. Am I getting this right?
Yes, you are. Woo. And the guy's not happy because the science is too boring. And the sugar-free gum that made everyone shit their pants is really going to start affecting sale. So they need to do something. I'm not buying this medicine. That science show sponsored by these clowns really sucked.
That's how our minds work. We, the hoi polloi.
I feel so called out.
Ouch. Yeah. They need saucier, sexier science.
They do. They need something to pull audiences in. Don't worry about that, though. Submarine. Oh, good.
Okay.
English-speaking characters in a Japanese film. I was worried we wouldn't get any of these.
Captain, water temperature 18 degrees centigrade.
18 degrees? It can't be. There can't be a warm current running in the Arctic Sea. Check that temperature.
Yes, sir.
Captain, I see a strange light behind an iceberg. Straight ahead.
Yeah, I enjoy that very much in Shin Godzilla, and I was hoping there'd be precedent for that.
Hey, that ice is glowing. Drive into it. Drive. So, enough of that, though. Passion!
我が社の泉パッシン勢力の源パシフィック製薬のパッシンをどうぞ
It's passion! Ah! And it's
Passion?
being introduced by one of our... Passion! Passion!
Ah!
Ah! So, yeah. Passion is being introduced by one of our many, many heroes. Song and Dance Man.
Ah, yes, that makes I thought maybe that was another monster that I wasn't aware of. Another member of the kaiju roster.
It's some fucking thing that they're advertising on the drums. But yeah, his mate Del Boy is onto a scheme because, hey, the boss wants us to go to the middle of nowhere to hunt a horrific monster, risking our lives to boost ratings. I'm in.
Okay, can it be funny? You bet, mate.
It's gonna be wacky. And they celebrate their plans over dinner. Del Boy isn't happy because Song and Dance Man is dating his sister, and she should really be preparing his dinner.
Yeah, at least one of their dinners. Oh, they
Somebody's
are. She's
dinner
preparing
should be.
his dinner. Well, you should be preparing my dinner, is what I mean.
You should have done mine first.
Yeah.
By the way, I invented this unbreakable cord, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye. So, back to the submarine, and then onto a volcanic island. Oh god, I'm having Forbidden Room flashbacks! No!
Embrace it. Let it happen. It's for the best. Yeah, they travel over to Cancelled Island and...
Yep, these 3 brave explorers will die with dignity. Look at the outfits they've brought. They look as good as they did in Igar.
Just remembered what Igar is. Yes.
There you go.
I agree.
Looks as good as that.
Oh, thanks,
Oh,
mate.
fuck. Wait, back on the submarine. Who's that inside the iceberg? It's Angyrus. everybody's favourite monster.
Oh, thank fuck.
He lets out an Ancriris and has decided to the fucking submarine. Oh no.
Set Samphirus. To the submarines.
Oh, and spare us. So,
Spirus.
Cancelled Island. The locals here are very strange. They're basically just Japanese people painted brown wearing grass skirts. It's really weird how nature worked out like that.
Yeah, but don't think about it too much. Ben Kingsley's there too. Gary Oldman's there walking around on his knees. So everything's going there on Cancelled Island.
They go and ask the ancient island chief, Kateshi Kitano, if they can stay here, but they struggle to get across the concept of ratings. But look, we've brought a radio with us. Listen, J-Pop, you're my actual brother. Let me get you some body paint. Oh, well, that's not...
No, we're all doing it here. You're still no.
No, you don't understand. We give you permission. Billy, stop filming this.
Are you yourselves Japanese people blacked up?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Look, never mind any of that. Have some cigarettes, folks. It'll take your mind off the diseases you're probably catching off us right now.
Should we give them to this child? Yes.
Probably. Yeah. Hi, wait, let me check what year it is. Yes, absolutely.
We've got a good few years yet.
Careful of the evil spirit that's knocking around on the island. Oh yeah, evil spirit? Yeah, oh, speak of the devil, he gets pissed off if we don't dance right now.
Oh. What if I don't like...
No! Meanwhile, back on the submarine. Oh no, the submarine's gone. Back on a ship that was near where the submarine got destroyed. Oh god, Anguirus shat himself and is breaking out of the iceberg, emitting his famous Godzilla yell. Hang on a minute, that's not Anguirus, it's Godzilla!
Oh my god! I assumed it was Godzilla anyway, because I knew nothing about the lore.
Summon the tiny tanks! We've been that close to the mainland this whole time.
Tracy Island can be wherever you need it to be, mate.
Hang on, didn't Godzilla die in the last movie? No, he just got frozen. You know anything about atomic monsters, Greg?
Get out of here. That's why you're so ugly.
Let's go ask a scientist, Dr. Serizawa. Now, you're definitely dead. I'm not Dr. Serizawa. Look, he wore an eye patch, and I don't. I'm a completely different character.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Plus, he was only frozen. What?
He was only frozen in the oxygen destroyer. Anyway, he'll probably come to Japan. He usually fucking does.
Yeah.
I mean, China's right there, dude. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah, well, you know.
But Groucho doesn't like any of this. We're not sponsoring Godzilla. We want our brand to be associated with the right atomic monster.
If only there was some way of waiting until that happened. Well, there isn't, so pull your trousers down and do a dance.
Because back on the island, Abbott and Costello are having a rough time of things in the jungle. So a wee lad goes to get them some red juice so they can rest up and, just shut the fuck up for a bit.
Yeah.
What's an octopus, though?
What? It's disgusting.
No!
It's genuinely disgusting.
Oh, God, what's that big hole in the side of its head? It's anus? Genuinely? Oh, no!
I didn't want to think about that for at least another 90 minutes. But here we are.
No. Here we are now. So they all attack the footage of the octopus, but it's not working. But oh shit though, who's this coming? It's Mighty Joe Young. Nah, just fucking it's King Kong.
That's how it's pronounced.
There's
a silent Mighty Joe Young in that name.
He gets all up in that octopus.
He does. And then he now
He just leaves.
I forget he leaves, and then do they then do a big song and dance to put him to sleep, or is that?
Oh, they do a big fucking song and dance, and they give him some of his favourite beverage, kombucha. Kombucha-tizer,
and he's kombucha made with tizer. It's it's big in Scotland, and it's catching on elsewhere like a disease.
Yeah. And after that, he does fall asleep because of the very relaxing song they sing. Tell you what, though, maybe we should build a raft to transport King Kong.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, okay, let's get on that.
So they do.
They fucking do. And Groucho gets lowered onto the ship that's towing the raft in what looks like a real shot of this fucking legend.
Yeah, he's the dad I never knew existed. I have now claimed for my own.
Knew I could have.
Yeah, never knew I would ever deserve, but apparently I do. I do.
Careful, though. We strapped TNT to this raft just in case and left the detonator just here.
Oh. Yeah. The one I'm leaning on right now. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Actually,
Hilly Evans is around it. Yeah.
Hilly Evans
You're still doing it, mate. You're still doing it. Stop it.
I can't help it. So they get a radio call, though. Hey, are you the guys transporting King Kong to Japan? Would you mind not fucking doing that? Meanwhile, the sister seems to be out of the dang kitchen again and is on a train this time that's actually a model, and that's not a good sign.
No, it's very upsetting for everyone. Yeah.
Sorry, the train is stopping here due to the wrong kind of Godzilla on the tracks. So he shows up and kicks the train over. Godzilla? What
are you doing,
the fiance lives, I think.
Because there's a scene with her in later. I remember now. So she
there you go.
lives.
She lives
in order to. I've got to become Naomi Watts. What does that mean?
In real life. So, shall we try H-bombs? How about some harebrained schemes first? Oh yeah, sure. So they dig a big hole.
How about some high-tension wires, says a guy. Not for the first time. And not for the last.
Look, we're going to dig a big hole and fill it with gas and dynamite, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
Let's hope this deals with Godzilla.
How big the hole? Well, brace yourself, mate. It's going to be 24 feet deep.
No!
No one can dig that deep.
Look, you get on with building that. Sir King Kong is growing restless. Oh, for fuck's sake!
That's all I need.
Yeah, cut back to the ship, and King Kong is indeed getting restless. So they blow up the raft, but that just makes him mad and significantly larger.
Yeah.
More
didn't think about that.
They didn't. But yeah, the Thunderbirds build a big hole. Or was it a tiny hole? I guess they're building a regular-sized hole, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So a guy in a costume can fall into it.
We're back into the philosophical problems of me fighting a me of any other height.
Yeah. It's just you all the way down.
We all know that I at the very least trip over the hole.
Yeah.
So I think, Godzilla might do the same. Look at him, he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Oh god.
Clue.
Oh Christ, here comes King Kong though, and here we are, just 1 hour into this 90-minute movie, and it's happening. Make sure you capture the audio, random guy. So King Kong throws a rock at Godzilla, and Godzilla uses his atomic breath, and the fight's over.
And Godzilla looks and King Kong just looks like Bollo from the Mighty Boosh between takes, just being told that he's not actually going to be needed for this scene. So he miffs away and
he wanders off.
Yeah,
and
as any King Kong would.
So that just leaves Godzilla, and back on Tracy Island, the trap with gas, explosives, and bears is coming along nicely.
But
so they get him. Bears is in there. He's like,
tambourine.
They get him to fall into the hole. And then blow it up. What do you mean that didn't work? Unbelievable.
That was our best bit. That was our best thing.
It's the only plan we had. And meanwhile, Godzilla is just outside town, sort of like a loser in a pub fight who refuses to go home, just at the window, sort of, "Oi, try that again."
Yeah. Go on, I'll have you. Hold me back, friends.
He picks up a woman and heads out of town like a fucking king. Apparently, RKO insisted on him doing this in the movie so that people would know it was him, I reckon. So, it's what he's all about.
It is his thing, isn't it?
He feels a bit overwhelmed, so he goes to climb the tallest thing he can find. It's a comfort thing.
Yeah, like any man on a Saturday night would.
But Groucho remembers that actually, as a side project and a side hustle, he's been refining that fruit that makes him go to sleep. So go get that and some drums. Oh god, that's why you were a drum guy this whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all adding up now.
But what if he wasn't a drum guy in the beginning? I'd be dead by now. And this is a story about the guy who was a drum guy, not the guy who wasn't a drum guy.
The most dangerous guy of all. So, where did those voices come from? Oh, it's a cover act here on the mainland. Oh. Okay.
Just so happened to be playing next door.
So, yeah, they spend some time laying things out before revealing their masterstroke. They've attached him to balloons. He's a god now.
Just look at him fly.
Oh, they used that unbreakable cord to do it. Thank God that was introduced earlier. I'd have had so many questions.
I had questions. I had to be reminded by a judge just to stop thrashing around and smashing windows. And it still wasn't satisfying. But if it wasn't there, oh boy. They lift Godzilla into a great position that any man would dream of being in. And then it takes up a couple of different positions for a number of camera angles as he's airlifted to the final act.
They awkwardly fly King Kong towards Godzilla. It's like the setup to the duel in Dune 2. And Godzilla turns around whilst climbing up a mountain and is just like, the fuck is that?
I'll have it, though. It's mine.
Yeah. And with 11 minutes of runtime left, it's time to give people what they want. So, King Kong scampers up the hill and hides.
Yeah, he does. What a trickster.
What a trickster. And we are into the fight, folks. Let's see here. King Kong comes out, grabs Godzilla's tail and flips him. He's working the tail, lobbing rocks. But, this fight, it could be decided by whose costume holds up the longest.
It's that intense.
It's that intense. Oh, and that is a devastating blow to the camera. We'll have to look into the well-being of the cameraman there. Fortunately, he is non-union. King Kong is rubbing his nipples provocatively in an effort to enrage Godzilla, and King Kong tries a victory roll but knocks himself out on a rock. That's the kind of hubris that only a primate can experience.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. We've all happened.
No worries though. Godzilla's gonna come in. He's gonna whomp him with the tail a few times.
He's gonna do all sorts of pounding on his chest and head. And now that's a double claymation kick. Oh, that's hard to dodge. Very hard
to dodge when you've been animated that way. Fortunately, they're back in the rubber suits, and it's anyone's game.
And King Kong's been struck by lightning, a very unlikely turn of fortune, unbelievably in King Kong's favour.
No one expected that.
No one expected that. And the atomic breath making another appearance there. Yup, he is going to be a half-baked gorilla, as the expression goes. Thanks, commentary guy.
What does any of this mean?
What does any of this mean? King Kong's going for a tree, and he's going to get it right the fuck down Godzilla's face. Love that.
Reminding us of a gift that Paul Salt sent to us one day. In the past, in the glorious past.
Oh, the glorious past. God, it was good. King Kong's costume is on fire again. It's incredible that it's going to be used in 3 more movies after this. And they have descended on a small seaside town, a town of homes, businesses, shops, places of work, worship, and play. Places you could depend on before this age of atomic monsters.
And then they're going to they've stood either side of the pagoda, arguably the oldest and most important building there. Oh, they seem to be very bad at punching one another suddenly.
Oh god, and that's actually Atomy Castle, which was a recent construction but made to look old. Another piece of devastating social commentary from Ishiro Honda. It's unbelievable what he's able to slip into this movie that's largely about people in rubber costumes punching each other.
We will talk about that in a little bit, but they've punched that pagoda down.
Don't think about things for
now. They've punched the pagoda down.
Yup, King Kong breaking out some of his patented capoeira magic. And... and the effort of destroying the boga has tuckered them both out, and they're rolling into the ocean. And Japan can rest easy tonight, as the monsters continue their epic battle under the sea.
And in our dreams.
And there's...
You wouldn't have the fucking guts to do this, America. Yep.
And King Kong resurfaces and starts swimming home. Sir, King Kong is headed home. What should we do? Let him fucking do that!
Yeah. Good.
Jesus.
Very good.
But fucking not Serizawa, because he's got both eyes, comes in. And it's like, we could learn a lot here. Yeah? Yes. We must learn to adapt we must learn to adapt like they did. We must be as King Kong when he got struck by lightning. What? The end.
Guys in a rubber suit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what we should be. That's what adaptable means.
Be as men in rubber suits. Do not fret the tear. Or the fact that your suit might fill up with water and nearly drown the person inside, which did happen in one of the movies.
Uh-oh. Just punch a pagoda. Always be punching pagodas.
Just punch fuck out of pagoda. So, Paul.
Yeah.
What did you make of King Kong versus Godzilla? First of all, is this your first Showa era Godzilla?
Yeah, this is the earliest Godzilla movie I've seen. I have now of the Japanese-born Godzillas, because I will not include any American Godzillas in this because they don't count because they're not real films. This is the earliest and only the third that I've seen.
Shin and -1.
I saw -1 first. We saw Shin on Oscars Day to celebrate the ascension of Christopher Nolan, our Lord and Savior, and hopefully to a career of mediocrity after.
He can rest now.
Yeah, he can rest and just make a film about U2.
Go and make your Southland Tales.
Go for it, Christopher. But yeah, Shin Godzilla, and then now this.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
I have seen nothing else. And I refuse to learn, although we'll watch some others.
Good, because I have
Correct
watched,
reaction.
I think, every Godzilla now.
Yes, that was what I
Every
assumed.
one of them. Yeah, I believe I've seen all the Showa, all the Heisei, all the Millennium, and all of the whatever the current era is in Japan, which I forget the name of. But yeah, I mean, there's only been like 2 and a bunch of animated stuff that doesn't count.
Okay. And by dint of being a film critic, you have also seen every American one?
Yes, I believe so.
Yay!
Yes, although I haven't yet seen Godzilla X Kong, the Hidden Frozen Empire, but I look forward to doing so as soon as that stupid-looking movie is released.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that in mind, what do you think of this?
I enjoyed it very much. As the first one,
Yay.
as you say, the first Showa era Godzilla that I'd seen. It's glorious to watch these men in rubber suits. I assume they were men.
Yep.
Because as every stuntman and martial artist from the time acknowledges, women were thoroughly incapable of doing anything. Which was a reference to
Revenge of the Ninja!
Revenge of the Ninja, not an actual opinion of mine.
Ninja 3, The Domination.
I apologise, that was an opinion of mine. But yeah, men in rubber suits just doing very like in my what I understand as kaiju, un-kaiju-esque things, just like slapping their tummies and Bolo
that's
just
part
roving
of the
around.
Kidification of the kaiju.
Yeah, it was very silly, and they both had very silly faces. Like King Kong himself looked like the goofy, toothy. Like fiasco that was King Kong's face was an unending source of enjoyment.
Oh god. Apparently, although they licensed the name, he had to look sufficiently different from the sort of 1933 King Kong for some reason, and it just translated in the weirdest possible way. I can't believe this is the best second design.
Yeah, because surely you could have just done like it, good still, but different.
Yeah, a different monkey. They wanted to do like a Japanese monkey. I forget the name of which.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. Obviously, it was a campy masterpiece. It was just really enjoyable, but it had the added extra, or I guess the foundation of. What seemed to be really competent comedic directing and performing, and just, directing in general. There was a scene that comes to mind, and I'm sure we'll talk about the comedy soon, but when, I can't remember the name of the Groucho Marx character.
Oh, no, can I? I'm afraid. I loved him, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the Japanese word for octopus, because there's a pun in there that's easy to miss, where the octopus attacks the town, and they're like, there's an octopus out there, and they're like, Mr. Octopus is here?
Okay. That's very good. There's a scene when he's talking about the grand plans for this pharmaceutical company on a boat. The boat's rocking, and it's, you can see as much in the shot, and sitting next to him on the sofa is one of the researchers, like rubbing his tummy and trying to get through a bout of seasickness. And the composition of that shot just struck me in that moment as being so utterly perfect that I had a moment of silent awe, and it was so unassuming. Just in how perfectly put together this scene was. I can't. It was almost euphoric. I can't properly convey how astonishing it was. And there were just, as you referenced, alluded to earlier, there's just these moments of competence or brilliance in there.
Yeah.
Whilst all the silly, goofy Power Rangers stuff was happening. So it was really interesting. It wasn't just nonsense.
In some respects, watching a Japanese studio movie from the 60s is like watching a 90s thriller. Just a baseline level of competence and ability that is just staggering in places. Of just an ability to block a sequence. And the Toho scope and the Eastman color works so gorgeously here. Like, honestly, some of these movies, as you get on, just the reds are so vibrant. And you get stuff like, school kids with their little red backpacks and such. And it's just... the most gorgeous looking scenes that you've ever seen in your life. And I end up falling in love with all the human stuff. There's always a huge amount of human stuff, some of which we didn't mention in this. Like there's a woman who's worried about her boyfriend who's on one of the ships. I don't know when he comes back into the fucking story again. It's just all over the place. And like
but that was
the previous one, it was great. And the previous one, Godzilla raids again. There's like a love triangle going on, you know, and it's just, there's always really fun human stuff, which is quite endearingly and affectingly acted. And then the monster stuff is just, for the first couple of movies, genuinely quite frightening. And that kind of, I think, gets you in because it's quite seriously done, and some of the special effects are really quite staggering. You know, even for the time, there are some composite moments which are really well done. But as the series goes, and it gets camper and less convincing, but still very ambitious, you can't help but be delighted by it. It's the same joy that you will get from professional wrestling, I think. It's just the sheer ridiculousness of it, which allows you to suspend your sort of, I don't know, pretensions, I guess, of saying like, oh, this isn't for me. You know, you can sit there and think, I'm enjoying this ironically, and then before you know it, you're actually genuinely invested in whether or not Godzilla's going to be able to beat Gigan.
Come on, do your move.
Oh my god, he actually cut his throat and there's blood. What's happening in this movie? The later movies do get a bit darker.
Yeah, nice. I'm keen. I've got to say I'm keen because I mean, it's worth. Obviously, you know, I'm sure you've spoken about it a lot on Jen and the Film Critic and elsewhere and to your real friends. But like Godzilla -1 being the first Japanese Godzilla movie I saw, I couldn't have possibly imagined how that movie would have been, because I'd never before seen a Godzilla movie where there were human characters in it that I cared about, even a scintilla. And suddenly, you know, we're in this, and you know, the Godzilla in that is scary, and the death, you know, like the loss of life in it is tragic, and it's quite disturbing at times. The scale and the impact of it, and the you know, and it's funny, but you know, it also has incredible special effects and so on and so forth. And I suddenly realized, as you say, there's a level of competence that is striking, and it makes all the difference. And you know, you can make a popcorn guzzling like American version, hundreds of millions of dollars in special effects, and you can make it as big and bombastic as you want, but when you don't care about the characters and when their concerns are either trivial or of a sort of Roland Emmerich caliber, it's meaningless. And so going back to this, where you know it was incredibly silly, and I found myself going, well, you know, the CGI is an improvement sometimes, but I really enjoyed the silliness of it, but I really loved the human characters, and I kept thinking about them. I loved the dynamic of the scientist and his sister, who was either in a relationship with or married to the other guy who made the unbreakable string. They had such a great dynamic, and every scene with the three of them was brilliant. It was just so human and funny, and really, it's really memorable for that. And
the sister's really good. She's really fun.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, just kind of sassy and smart, and and you know, a human being, and it really goes a long way.
It's extremely entertaining, and just you find yourself getting drawn into it, and the ambition of the series as well, because we're only 2 movies out from actual aliens, you know, so it just it keeps going, and there's just more crazy stuff in the future. And although there are very few characters that sort of, you know, go along with the series, you do start to see the same faces, and there's the same people involved, and it just feels like this really delightful continued enterprise. And you know, watching the Big Action Bill, you know, videos only really confirms that this was a labor of love for many involved. And although there's some cynical sort of business stuff that goes into it, you know, these movies were made with a great deal of care, and there's a lot of joy there. So, which
ultimately you don't see in the Halloween franchises we've covered, for example.
No, exactly.
Similar trajectory in terms of, you know, movie after movie, but at some point the love and the craft is either disappeared or is completely smothered, overshadowed by the cynicism. So yeah, I can see why you made a point of watching all of them.
Yeah. Oh no, it was an easy decision to make, and it was an absolute joy to watch through them all. With Jack, dear old housemate of years gone by.
Oh,
That's quick fast.
oh, Jackie boy.
Oh, Jackie boy, Anguirus is calling. Quick fast.
Oh, I squeezed this one in at the top because I was writing on paper and I'd run out of space at the bottom. At the very end.
Oh!
The sort of the end caption and then the Toho trademark. Registered trademark caption. Timed with the roars of Godzilla.
Oh, and King Kong. Did you get both?
Probably.
Because some versions have them both consecutively, but I think the American one just has Kong.
I had Godzilla, but
Okay.
but maybe I had Godzilla. I had both, and only paid attention to the Godzilla.
That's fair. Because you were writing that note.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was writing it as it was happening, and I was just like, "Shut up, world!"
I really like the music by Akira Ifukube. So yeah, you've got the last thing we see, and the first thing we hear is just like this gorgeous score coming in, and it's just very immediate. This one, it feels like a sequel score, like because it just belts in.
Nice. But yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. It really got me in the mood straight away.
Yeah.
And then to be followed up by the science show and all the weird PR stuff. Speaking of which, the line, and I hope that these are the subtitles that they are. But they're talking about lifting ratings, and one of the characters says, "Lift our ratings. I'm not a crane." And there's a very fun line
like
that took
that.
a couple of seconds to really sink in, and it made me think, oh, this film has writing in it.
It has layers. I'm gonna go for a couple of lines care of Ichiro Arashima, who is the guy who played Taco, Mr. Taco.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, he's apparently nicknamed the Japanese Chaplin, which is good stuff, depending on who gave him that nickname.
I did reference Chaplin in me notes, the notes that I didn't speak.
Well, he's got some great physical moments, including the whole everything to do with the detonator is amazing.
Yeah.
Them explaining to him the importance of the detonator and him going, okay, and then going to lean on it again is just fabulous.
Yeah.
But a couple of lines he had. He picks up the it's ringing. He picks up the phone. It's like, hello? It's boring. I know that. Who is this?
Yeah.
Love that. And then when he's talking about his vision for the advertising campaign, he just says, Godzilla will be there, smiling, advertising our product. And one of his subordinates says, he'll smile? He will. It's gone straight with, he will. Of course he will.
So good. So smart.
No more information needed. He will.
I liked the cut to the outlandish safari costumes. As they're getting ready. I think it's in the middle of like a parade that they've set up before they embark.
They look so miserable.
Yeah.
They look so unhappy to be in these films.
They do, and they're on this low sofa, I think. So it just adds to that feeling of ridiculousness, which again, just such great mise en scene. Really good.
I enjoyed the steak and chips that the sister had made for the two men.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
That looked delicious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice
Steaks and burgers too.
Yeah. Speaking of food, actually, later on, when two of the women are talking to each other, and one of them's trying to console the other about not being worried, she then offers her a bun, and it's a very charming interaction anyway, because, the sister's being all sort of sassy and kind of irreverent in a way that seems genuinely calculated to sort of cheer up her friend. But then the friend just takes a big old hearty bite of that bun. I love that.
It's great. Yeah, it's very much, oh, fucking give it to me. Oh, fuck it. To me, outside of Greg's, I relate to this on so many levels. I really like the discussion actually happening around the steak and chips, because there's not a disagreement. The brother is a bit miffed about the amount of chips the other guy gets.
Yeah.
And it's just so petty, and I just loved having these little silly domestic scenes. They were just utterly petty amid, kaiju apocalypse.
Kaiju apocalypse.
Kaiju apocalypse, everyone. Kaiju apocalypse.
There were some lovely shots of the island. Some really good nature shots and sort of exotic, hey, we're on a crazy island kind of shots, which I really, really enjoyed. Really brought out the sort of adventure movie fan in me.
Yeah. Crazy cancelled island.
Yeah.
Okay, the things other than the Sephiroth music, which clearly influenced Final Fantasy VII, the shot in the distance of a kaiju or Godzilla approaching, wading through the ocean, like a long shot to begin with. That's they're pretty much verbatim in Final Fantasy VII, with the ultimate weapons approaching Junon Harbor. The sort of the land or like coastal artillery like firing at the approaching kaiju. A lot of the mountains in the island looked like the ranges of Mount Nibble, quite what's the word? Quite faithfully. It just got a lot of Final Fantasy VII vibes, and it was a huge nostalgia trip.
Well, good.
That I got for a 1997 product, watching a 1962 thing, which was great.
Well,
it's just a lovely little sofa of a bubble for me to spin in. Straining this metaphor.
I like the big fucking octopus.
Oh, I love the octopus. That was disgusting.
I thought the octopus looked great when he was rolling over the city. It was really good. Apparently, it was a lot of work to get him to move and do the right thing, but it looks fantastic. It really... Yeah, it's quite troubling. And there are some really impressive special effects shots where guys get picked up by tentacles and sort of whipped around. It's really good.
Yeah, and it was just very visceral, because obviously, this real slimy, glistening thing. It had the similar effect to the director's character in Food Fight, who took the shape of a big slimy testicles.
It's exactly that. It's as good as that.
It's as good as that, and I don't care what Wayne Brady has to say about it. So, when they turn on the transistor radio for the tribesmen, there's that thing, and I'm sure you'd be able to tell me what this is, but it's just a cut, like it cuts to a different scene. It seems to skip half a second, so just to make it really sudden. And you see it in something like The Life of Brian, when a Roman smacks Terry Jones in the face whilst playing Brian's mum. There's just a slight cut of the footage to make it seem more sudden, for comedic effect, I guess. And there was one of those in there. That I guess it just tickled me.
It just tickles you in the way that cinema can.
Cinema. Train movie, and so on.
And so on. Yeah, I mean, Godzilla trampling the train looked amazing. Speaking of trains, just kicking over this train, it just looked, very good. And whilst another special effects moment was blowing up the raft, which happens sort of in a composite shot, which is quite obviously such, but the actual explosion looked very good. Like, it looked big and hefty. Yeah.
I enjoyed any of the destruction scenes, because it just seemed incidental. Yeah. There was no I'm going to get this building. It was just like cat-like. I said I've mentioned, not necessarily on this podcast, but I've mentioned how cat-like how feline Godzilla was in -1, for the stare and the grin that it has. But in this, there's just something about the complete and utter disregard for life and existence, that it just tramples on shit as it's moving around.
It's fucking tramples on shit.
I really enjoyed. But the in terms of fire explosions, the fire on the submarine ceiling looked really good. Looked really dangerous. As a fire on a submarine would be, I imagine.
Well, as it should be. As a fire on a submarine should be.
But it looked really good as well.
Yeah.
The fire just like licking and gaining momentum across the surface of the ceiling.
Yeah. Really love King Kong attacking that bus sort of thing.
Yeah.
And pulling, like, it looked great. It was another train, actually, I think. But yeah, just knocking over the sort of the train and, like, you know, the sheer drama and, like, having her inside and the sort of cutting between the two. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's that human stakes.
The score, other than the leitmotif that's already been mentioned, and then the Godzilla mainstays, there was a lot of really wonderful, like, pitch bending. Just so many notes of wow, just bent, just like pitch downwards, sliding. I think is the term, but really, really big, dirty orchestral notes that they were being dragged down by the by the destruction of it all. That were just amazing, and throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Mount Fuji looked amazing. There's like one shot of it where it's just sort of there, like, iconic against the sunset, and it's very good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. There's a yellow, I want to say, discharge in the ocean just before Godzilla breaks out of the ice. That looked really good.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. Was it his post coma piss?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we all nobody talks about that, but it's a beautiful process. And my final one is that I thought Atami Castle, the model, looked amazing. You know, it's just a really cool sort of, you know, it's a really cool looking place anyway. I don't care that Ishiro Honda hates it. It looks amazing, and just in particular, there's a moment of real juxtaposition where we cut from the slightly dodgy restored footage of them in wide shot to a shot going down the sort of peninsula style ridge that this is on, looking towards the ocean, and suddenly that's back into the 4K footage, and it just looks staggeringly good. Yeah,
amazing.
Some of the stuff on this that is well preserved looks amazing.
Yeah, so good. Okay, I've got a few, so I'll spin them off. When Taco he's throwing magazines down of Godzilla onto the table, like, this isn't good enough. The final one that lands on the table is of Godzilla grinning like a massive weirdo, and it's a great final one to linger on. Yeah. The first shot of Kong coming out from behind the mountain is gloriously silly. The dance scene around the downed Kong, just the scale of it was quite hypnotic. I found myself being sort of silenced just watching it and feeling really weird in a good way. I mentioned that. The line, "This is a violation of King Kong's rights," was also very good.
Love that.
In the fight when Kong is struck by lightning and he grabs Godzilla's tail, Godzilla starts like giving this pain cry whilst clawing at the dirt to try and get away. It was sad. We both Nell and I looked at each other, and I had the thought, I have too much empathy.
These giant atomic monsters.
It's crippling. And then there's a shot of Godzilla doing his tummy slap before getting a big rock in the face in the same shot that was very, very pleasing to me as a human being. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That's what I would call a quick firing.
Emphasis on the fire.
Fire. Now, it doesn't look to me like we got anything from the OG team.
Those slags.
You bunch of tossers. Well, have a watch of King Kong versus Godzilla, because it is a lot of fun. But you know what else is a lot of fun? The one better thing.
Better thing.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. The one better thing.
Well, if you haven't seen Shin Godzilla or Godzilla -1, if you like me, being brought up on the Matthew Broderick Godzilla. He's directly responsible for it, and thought, well, maybe Godzilla movies just aren't for me. And then you saw Godzilla versus Kong, or whatever it's called, King of Monsters, all the new ones, and looked at people getting excited about it, and thought, I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give an actual toss about any of this nonsense.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen Godzilla Minus One specifically, you really should, because you will not be disappointed. You'll realize. You will realize how spoiled, in a bad way, how ruined you've been by a steady diet of sludge that is American Godzilla movies. And you'll see where the real appeal is and what a good Godzilla movie is like.
Absolutely. And then once you've watched that, if you want to get deeper into Godzilla, as we all do, and as King Kong did, that was the subplot that was missing from that. My favorite Showa era Godzilla movie, I think, is Invasion of the Astro Monster, where things get a bit crazy. Aliens show up, King Ghidorah shows up, and I believe is introduced, unless he was introduced in Mothra. I don't think he was. I think King Ghidorah is invaded. No.
Split style is at the end.
No, it's the second. It's the second style.
Okay.
Second movie with King Ghidorah in it. So it's very good. Okay. But yeah, it's just an incredibly fun film. And then if you want something from a bit later, the 1991 Heisei era film Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah gets very crazy with apparently their interest in sort of trying to take on the Back to the Future movies. There's a time travel element to it, and and it's very good. It's very fun.
Sounds quite good.
I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, I would recommend those Godzilla films. Godzilla. And that's the one better thing. The one better thing. Paul, how can people find out about One Good Thing?
Well, strap on those high tension wires.
Strap them on.
And strap them right on, as you're supposed to with high tension wires. Get yourselves over to Twitter and Facebook. I know it hurts deep in your soul, in your heart as well, to be on social media, but go on it for us, because we put out the call for the OG team to give us their good things. So if you've seen a film like, I don't know, Big If you've seen Big If and you had some good things to say about it, we put out the call for that if we're doing an episode on it. We appreciate everyone who gets in touch. It's really lovely. Always. Even when the director of a film that we were horrible about gets in touch to convey how upset he is. But yeah, on Twitter and Facebook, OGT Pod. We also have a Patreon where for as little as £1 a month, you get hundreds and hundreds of hours of us talking about films and other things too. And we put out the call for the OG team there. And we're nicer about those people.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep. I'm Paul Nice.
I'm Paul Gira, destroyer of myself.
He's Desustroyer. And remember, the one good thing about King Kong versus Godzilla 1962 is that ultimately Eiji Tsuburaya knew exactly how to fuck up a castle.